phase of the season. We've got live racing coming up for you from the men's last 32 and the women's quarter-finals onwards. Weather conditions are okay. There wasn't too much wind at the start of the day, but that breeze has picked up. But fortunately, that's blown some of the cloud away, which was threatening some rain for this race. But hopefully we will be okay as we move on through the next hour and a half of intense action on this relatively short, tight racing track here at the top of the glacier in the shadow of the Matterhorn. Well, the racers are ready to get things underway in terms of our knockout phases. And in terms of this course yesterday, as much as we can read into qualification, the men coming down in just over 46 seconds. For the women, 48 to 50 seconds for the faster racers. But it was a brutal qualification yesterday. And with so much focus on the forthcoming Winter Olympics, the World Cup standings now taking on the role of rather a selection indicator for some of the nations that have a lot of athletes out there racing for places at the Olympic Games. So these next few races massively important, and the fact that there is such a huge break until we go to Turkey on January the 20th, and those some of the racers that are maybe wrestling for those places. No, the forerunners have been down and enjoyed themselves on the track. But you can see that breeze that is starting to pick up, and that's going to make things interesting. In terms of the home athletes, well, two Italians were the fastest in qualification on home snow. Omar Vizintin for the men, 46.87. And for the women, Michela Moioli was amazing, 2 seconds faster than anyone else with a time of 48.68. And that meant she was only just outside qualification for the men's last 32, let alone anything else. So we'll have a lot of focus on those two athletes today, but there will be some huge competition. In the men's draw, USA have qualified 8 athletes, and those athletes will have their own personal battles to wage out there today. Well, our usual eclectic selection of shots from the top and the bottom of the track. We've got 2,835 metres up there on the glacier. The course at 800 metres, though, isn't a particularly long one, but through those 26 turns there is opportunity for passing. As been pointed out by the coaches, you have to do that with precision, because it's one of those tracks where you can lose speed, and if you do lose speed, then you're going to be in trouble. There's Uwe Baer, first race director, who would have been more than happy with yesterday's weather conditions. Beautiful sunny racing, and it's predicted to be that again tomorrow. And then all through next week, from Boxing Day onwards, it is predicted for some heavy snow, around about 4 or 5 days of snow, which is just what this region needs right now. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. But for the moment, it's all about today's racing. Well, the top 32 men making their way up and getting ready to head out of the gate. The fastest man in qualification, Omar Vizintin, goes in that first heat, and it's a good heat as well. Glenn de Blois, Nate Holland and Cole Johnson of the USA. That's going to be a tricky one to get through. Then Vaultier, Grandin, Duchamp and Hill in that next group. And as we come down through the draw, you'll notice that there are a lot of big names in the same groups in the last 32. This is going to be a terrific battle just to make the quarter-finals, coming right down to the last of the qualification rounds, and that features the World Cup leader, 30-year-old Alex Pullin from Australia, second fastest in qualification. He's a big unit, Pullin, and he's going to try and make that count during some of the closer encounters out there on the hill. Well, that wind is picking up, which will just add that further element of interest as we prepare to start our first heat for the men.
The riders to the start gate.
Simon Golding with you for all of this morning and this afternoon's racing, standing in for Ian Finley. And there is a certain end-of-term feel here, a real pre-Christmas feel to this one. Who is going to get the big Christmas present, though, in about an hour and a half's time. Time for Heat 1 in the men's knockout phase of this competition here in Cervinia, the last pre-Christmas race of 2017 in this Olympic season, and the fastest man in qualification, Omar Vizintin, goes in the red bib in this one, and he's significantly faster than most. De Blois goes green. Nate Holland, one of two Americans in this first heat. Holland is in the blue bib, and then Cole Johnson, the second of the Americans, in the yellow. And watch out for Glenn de Bois of the Netherlands, that late grab on the handles to pull himself out through the first part of this course, and the start is absolutely crucial here in Cervinia, and it's gone to de Blois. Made that explosive opener count. Now, one of these long raking turns, you can see how tight it is down through 1, 2 and 3. There are opportunities there to pass, and that's an opportunity being taken by Nate Holland as he goes past his compatriot Cole Johnson at the back. But at the moment in the qualification places, it's Vizintin and de Blois. And Vizintin just happy at the moment to track the Dutchman. Can't miss the Italian snowboard suits, can you? And across the line comfortably. De Blois and Vizintin then, with no clashes out there on the track, will be heading through into the quarter-final. Solid race from Vizintin, keeping himself out of trouble on his home track. He'll be desperate for a win here in Cervinia today. Did give it a little bit of a go, and then decided, once he'd taken a look back and saw how far Holland and Johnson were away, decided that discretion on this occasion of the better part of valour. Nice double there for the guys, getting some serious airtime down through the bottom half of that course, and confirmation that de Blois and Vizintin are through to the next round. So quarter-final places then for the fastest qualifier, Vizintin, as we move to our next round. Our next heat, Pierre Vautier in the red, Leah Grandin in the green of Canada, then Duchamp of Austria in the blue, and Kevin Hill of Canada in the yellow. So once again, two North Americans involved in this one. The Canadians are going to have a bit of a scrap on their hands as well for places. Vautier, 8th fastest qualifier, podium so far this year, but sitting nicely on the World Cup standings with his consistency, putting him in second place, just ahead of the yellow bib of Kevin Hill. Duchamp in third, and off the pace at the moment, Grandin of Canada. This could be tight. A couple of chances coming up where the athletes can make a go of it, and I thought there Duchamp was going to dive for the inside, but decided against it, and having to control that air. Kevin Hill moving through very nicely. So Vautier hangs on to top spot, Kevin Hill takes second. And a little discussion at the bottom, but that's nothing to do with what happened on the track itself. A very straightforward race. And that little bit from Hill just to try and push himself through to top spot. No matter what Duchamp did, just couldn't seem to make any sort of space to move past. Well, we could see some interest as the day goes on through that section. It's a lot of air to carry just before they land to line it up for the finish. And Vautier for France, Hill for Canada through from Heat 2. As we move through, confirmation of our first quarter-final, Vizintin, Vautier, de Blois and Hill. So that will be a keenly contested one. Vizintin, remember, the fastest qualifier today, the Italian on home snow, as we move through to set up for the second quarter-final with heat number 3. Hagen Carney in the red for the USA. Two North Americans involved once again, with Jake Vedder in the blue for the Americans. And then Paul Berg, victorious in Val Thorens earlier this season. The 26-year-old German goes in the green bib, and Sebastian Judd of Austria in the yellow. It's again so important, this start, and it's a good start from Carney. And the American getting himself a nice cushion there into the big right-hander. and manages to maintain his speed. Paul Berg not able to dive for the inside on that one. And Berg's got to be careful here because Vedder's lining him up. Here comes Vedder. Nicely through the rollers. Just trying to keep those legs working and keep the speed. Carney safe, but Berg's got a bit of company here from Vedder. And through these last few rollers, this is going to be mighty tight. And here comes Vedder, and that was close on the line. And Paul Berg will be kicking himself. Well, he must have been aware that Vedder was there, but Vedder all the time was on his left inside through all of that race, and then just switched, coming through the last rollers. Vedder moving out to the right-hand side. Came round the back of Berg, who he was having a go at all the way down the mountain. And as he moved round the back, it was almost as if Berg maybe just lost some focus on where his man was. Here comes Vedder, through the big air, landing just about neck and neck, and landing nicely on that downslope, and that's where Vedder got all his speed. And confirmed the two Americans through from that next heat. So this intense battle for American places at the Games will continue through into the quarterfinals, and we've got McDeardorff, 7th on the World Cup standings at the moment for the USA, goes red bib, then Perotona of Italy in the green bib, Hamel of Austria in the blue, and the second of the Austrians, Marcus Scherer, in the yellow bib. No, Scherer not starting this race, so doesn't come out of the gate, doesn't even go into the gate for that matter. It's the blue of his compatriot Alessandro Hameldo, 24-year-old, that makes his ground, with Deardorff of the USA in second. At the moment, Perotona is a long way off it in third. The Italian's got to watch himself here. Perotona is going to have to apply some home knowledge if he's going to make that ground on the red bib of Deardorff at the moment in second place. Got to get things absolutely right. Down through the rollers, and he does push hard, but Deardorff showing a bit of commitment there. Pretty tough with that head on camera, isn't it, to see exactly who's made their ground by the line. But you did get the feeling Perotona lined himself up nicely there, but Deardorff just carrying enough speed to get that one over. And Alessandro Hamel in the end untroubled for his qualification place. Solid racing through the top half of the draw, no dramas as yet. We'll confirm those qualifiers for the quarterfinals shortly, but Hamel and Deardorff are through, and then that will give us our final lineup for the second of those quarterfinals. And again, it should be another cracker. The two Americans involved, Vedder and Carney. They go up against the third American in Mick Deardorff. It's only Alessandro Hamel. But he's holding up the European end in that second quarter-final. Through to the bottom half of the draw here in Cervinia in Italy. As the wind continues to blow. So far, no delays to the racing, and no dramas either. Been relatively straightforward. Jonathan Cheever then goes in heat 5 in the red bib for the USA. Nikolai Olyunin for Russia in green, and it's Bolton for Australia in blue, and Bacchus for Germany in yellow. And that's a decent run from Olyunin, getting through the first kickers in the table, and he's holding on to his lead here, working that very hard through the rollers into the big right-hander. Olyunin holding on to that lead at the moment from Bolton. So Russia, Australia for the moment, but here comes Cheever. A little bit of speed there, but he's got some company from Beckhaus of Germany. And probably too much work to do here for the yellow bib of Beckhaus and the red bib of Cheever. This looks like it's going to be straightforward for Olyunin and Bolton. And it is. Nice run from Nikolai Lunin. Great from the start, had some company from Bolton who pushed him really hard, but look at this from Lunin, just shuts the door coming into the rollers. That's a tidy piece of riding, holding that inside line to the big turn and then very nicely through the air. Both men looking super stable. Important you catch that down slope with some real speed and then you can tee it up from there. So just confirmation required on Lunin and Bolton through Russia, Australia into quarter-final 3 in the bottom half of the draw. On to heat 6, Alex Diebold of the USA. He goes in the red bib. Then it's Lorenzo Somariva of Italy in the green, Baptiste Brochu of Canada in the blue, Godino of Italy in the yellow, and Michele choosing the outside line, just like his compatriot Somariva. Fans have come to life now with 2 Italians racing in this one. And it's nice work from Somariva to get himself into the lead just ahead of Alex Diebold. The American caught between the 2 Italians here, and that's a nice move from Godino. Not going to get the inside line to this next turn, but he certainly put some pressure on Diebold here, who's having to pay attention to him now, and through he comes. Great piece of work from Godino, and it's Godino and Somariva now challenging each other. Oh my goodness me! Well, down goes the green bib of Somariva, and Godino wins the race, but there was almost contact with the Italians coming into the roller. And I just think that Godino's antics there must have caught Somariva out, because he really caught those rollers badly. Hopefully that's more frustration than pain for the man in the green. Somariva had control of the race. Godino was looking to get past Diebold of the USA, which he did do. But then coming into the rollers, that's where the problem happened. You just see here, he's very, very close indeed to Somariva, and that's almost evasive action from the leader. He just crashes out on landing, catches the backside, can't control it. Diebold manages to go through for qualification. Confirmed, Godino and Diebold, and Somariva will be very annoyed at that, because he was looking in the quarter-final space there for the Italians. Still bright and breezy. And Diebold, Lunin, Bolton and Godino confirmed. And our first bit of drama with the exit there of Somariva. Last 2 heats for the men. And it'll be Herrero in the blue. Leith for the USA goes green. Herrero goes in the blue, as I said. Then it's Lagocki in the red, and then Lambert of Australia in the yellow. Nice start from the Americans, Senna Leith. 8 Americans, remember, in this last 32. They're going to have a lot of representation in the latter stages, and that's a nasty plant there from Lagocki. Goes face first. The 35-year-old Pole is out. And it's Leith, followed now by the yellow bib of Australian youngster Adam Lambert, and coming in on the inside, that's Herrero making a bit of a hash of that overtaking error, and he will have lost speed there, which will play into the hands of both Leith and Lambert as they cross the line comfortably. A photo finish to decide the winner, but safe qualification for both, and Herrero just costing himself there, didn't time his run for that overtaking manoeuvre. And that is acknowledged as a problem on this course. If you lose your speed through poor overtaking, then that's it, you're done. And that proved to be the case. Here's where Lagocki went down. Oh dear. Well, he looks okay. He did finish the race, so no damage done. And he was quite fortunate, actually, to not be taken out there, Adam Lambert. That's where Herrero messed up. Herrero, in the end, paying the price. But a nice bit of work from Adam Lambert. Picked up some great speed off that last air and through the rollers to put a bit of pressure on the American Senna Leith. 2 20-year-olds are through. Australia and USA. Lambert getting the nod in terms of the result. Final heat then for the men, and it involves Alex Pullin in the red, second fastest qualifier and World Cup leader. And Pullin getting away nicely, and once again we don't have our full complement of racers. In the blue it's Lucas Pachner, and in the green Martin Nöll, so Regina Hernandez not starting for Spain. And Pullin finding a very nice line down this track, the Australian here looking imperious. Last year's two World Cup winners, the World Cup reigning champions, are leading the World Cup standings at the moment, Pullin and Jacob Ellis. So Hernandez confirmed as a DNS, did not start, so Pullin through the rollers, takes a double for the last and crosses the line, and that was tight between Pachner and Nöll. Nöll in the end just flinging himself towards the line. We'll have to see who gets that photo. That'll be a messy one to sort out. No dramas for Pullin though. Pullin has absolutely nailed that one, so he's through. Very good run from him. One of only two men under 47 seconds yesterday in qualification. He and Vizintin. Recorded times in the 46-second zone. Made that count there. Vastly superior speed. That was some serious height. Pachner just about got down in time for the line. Might nick this one, you know. Well, not the recommended way to finish, certainly, but he's done for Nöll. It was Pachner in the end that launched himself. The Austrian is through to join the Australian. And we say cheerio to Martin Nöll from that last heat. So we'll just confirm the quarter-final lineup then for quarter-final number 4 for the men. And here we go. Pullin, Leith, Pachner and Lambert. Men's last 32 racing done, so we move now to the ladies' quarter-finals. Terrific qualification effort yesterday from Italian Michele Moioli. Moioli goes through as the fastest qualifier, 2 seconds faster than the rest of the field. World Cup leader Lindsay Jacobellis joins her in that first heat, along with another veteran, Alexandra Jakova, and then the youngster Jana Fischer, so that gets things underway. And then as we move down through the draw, with the Canadians and the French in particular really battling for those Olympic qualification places, there are some incredible races to come, and athletes who will come away from Italy, from Cervinia, disappointed. You can hear the wind on the trackside microphone. Sometimes sounds a little more dramatic than it is, but I can tell you this is blowing, and it's a real crosswind on that last part of the course. Coming off the last turn and down into the rollers, that is going to catch you. So some good races to watch. Opening with the first quarter-final. We've got Moioli in red, Jacobellis in green, Jakova in blue, and Fischer, the youngster, in yellow, nearest the camera. And that all-important start. Oh, down goes Fischer. So Fischer's out of the running. But that all-important start dominated by Jacobellis, using her experience there. And the other experienced athlete in this one in terms of age, Jakova, but she'll be passed here by Moioli, surely. Can't carry all that speed through qualification and then not make it through the quarter-final. That would be unthinkable for the Italian, but she's got a bit of work to do here. And at the moment, her route into the top 2 is blocked, although a little wide there from Jakova. That's not great riding from the Bulgarian, and that's let the Italian in. So it's going to be Moioli and Jacobellis racing for the line, through the rollers, both of them nice and relaxed, and qualification confirmed. Moioli in the end getting a bit of speed up to go past Jacobellis. but they are through to the semi-finals. Semi-final one in the top half of the draw. It was the fall of Jana Fischer, teenager crashing out. Jacob Ellis in complete control here. She won't be too happy, Jacob Ellis, by the way she rode the last of the two rollers. Looked to be caught between going for the double and just riding it out. That's where Moyoli's speed, superior speed in the bottom part of this course allowed her to come through. Don't want to talk about finishes in big races, do we, where Jacob Ellis is concerned. She'll be looking to put that Olympic ghost to bed, and she's certainly in great form to be able to do that in Pyeongchang. Confirmation then of those two qualifiers, Moyoli and Jacob Ellis, through. And we're going to try and rattle through these races because this wind really is starting to pick up. So next of the quarterfinals for the women, Moen Lacoste in red, Odin for Canada in green, Gullini in blue for the USA, and Trepuk for France, who won the first race of the season this year, goes in yellow. This, I think, is going to be the tightest of the quarterfinals. Trepuk just edged out there by Moen Lacoste. Two French riders at the moment in the lead in red and yellow. Moen Lacoste from Trepuk. And we'll see if Gullini can generate enough speed here to get back to the top group. The green of Odin at the moment just looking off the pace, the Canadian. This is getting better and better for Nelly Moen Lacoste. Trepuk is going to have to be a little bit careful here because she's got some company from Gullini, but Gullini butt checks out on the rollers. And Moen Lacoste and Trepuk make their way across the line to qualify for semi-final number one to join Moyoli and Jacob Ellis. That sets up a cracker of a first semi-final for the women. It was just that one little point there where Moen Lacoste and Trepuk were racing at the top, but it helped them establish that 1-2 and just blocked the way for Gullini, who lost a bit of speed at the top of the course. And then when she went for it across the rollers, Gullini just not quite timing it. Look good there, the 27-year-old French woman. Moen Lacoste is through for another semi-final battle on the World Cup Tour, along with Chloe Trepuk, who's in some really good form this season. And the two North Americans on this occasion missing out. So we'll just confirm that first semi-final lineup for you, and what a cracker it's going to be. Moyoli, Moen Lacoste, Jacob Ellis and Trepuk. Pick your winners and your losers from that one. That's going to be tough. Third women's quarter-final to come up then. Raffaella Brutto, 29 years of age. The Italian will go in red, third fastest qualifier. Then it's Christina Paul in green for Russia, the 19-year-old, another experienced racer from Canada in Carla Brenneman. And then Pereira de Souza for France, just 16 years of age in the yellow, and it's the 16-year-old who's got the flyer. Well, she'll take that. This is a beautiful piece of riding. Flew out of the start gate, crossed those first few obstacles and made them look easy. And the rest of the field training at the moment, Brenneman in the blue, followed by Paul in the green, and the very popular Italian racer Raffaella Brutto takes a big fall, so Brutto is out. Home director wants to look at that one. Oh no, they're all down. Well, out of the range of the camera there, Brenneman came down as well. Now, has she missed a gate? So that leaves the youngster to just coast over the line. And Pereira de Souza there looked fabulous from start to finish. That hugely quick start from her was incredible. Then Brutto went down and it looked like she took out Christina Paul. Now, whether Brenneman was part of that tangle, we'll have to see. Italian director focusing on the fall of Brutto, which is just coming up as she loses control here and gets whacked by that kicker. Down she goes. And then we had another two fallers, and it is two separate falls as well. Quite amazing. So Bruto and Paul both going down, which left Brenneman and Pereira de Souza with easy qualification. Then Brenneman went down and hopefully didn't go outside again. So we wait for the qualification. It should be yellow and blue, courtesy of the old phrase, everyone else fell over. Yeah, it's under review. I'm not surprised to see that. I didn't see a lot of contact, I have to say, but that doesn't mean there wasn't. Now there's the fall of Brenneman. She goes straight through the gate. So the video official will take a look at this and make a decision from there. Now, did anyone else get up and just kind of coast their way down? I think Christina Paul did. This might be a very unlucky situation here. Well, if the technology's there, it's right, it should be used. That just about sums up the situation, doesn't it? A wave of the hand from the official to indicate, yeah, this one's going to be close. We need to look at this again. So just waiting for confirmation in the rather dramatic third quarter-final there, confirmation of who's going through. What we definitely know is that the youngster from France is through, and if she can find that kind of start in the semi-finals, she's looking at a big final place here, the teenager. We've had beautiful views of the Matterhorn over the last few days, and that makes good reading for Carla Brenneman. The Canadian is given the nod, and she makes her way through to the semi-finals. So Brenneman and Pereira de Souza, Canada and France through, and now we go to our last quarter-final for the women. Charlotte Banks, the 22-year-old British rider who now rides for France and lives in France, second fastest qualifier with a decent time. She goes in the red bib. Rosie Mancari goes green, Galina goes blue, and Bergerman of Canada goes in the yellow bib, and this is very tight. Mancari making her presence felt, but Banks now, after yesterday's superb qualification, making her way back in, and she's been very careful there, Banks, going wide, trying to stay out of the way of Mancari. So Mancari leads, Banks in second. Now Banks looking at a possible move here. Took some air across those obstacles and it nearly worked, but Mancari maintaining good speed here, and Banks has just got to be careful with Bergerman coming up on the outside. Probably not aware that Bergerman is there, but I don't think she's close enough, and this will be Mancari and Banks across the line. So the photo is for the winner. My apologies, that's Galini. I was calling Mancari all the way down. It's Galini for Italy. My apologies on that one. And it is going to be Italy and Francesca Galina through. That will keep the home fans happy. I do apologise for that. It was Galina in the blue and white trousers all the way down. The French woman Charlotte Banks, I thought, racing very carefully there. It's quite a circumspect journey down the track from Banks. Just kept her eyes peeled, made sure that she saw off any attack, but also made sure she didn't get herself in any trouble. Galina really determined all the way through to the finish, but look at the speed that Banks was carrying, and that's what took it very close. So Francesca Galina does get the win. Charlotte Banks confirmed in second, holding off the challenges of Mancari and Bergerman, the two North Americans. So not quite as successful for the North Americans in the women's division. That means we can confirm the lineup for semi-final 2, and it's another one to look forward to. But 4 names in there that will feel there's a real chance here for a place in the final. So far, so good. It's been a fascinating morning in the snowboard cross here in Cervinia so far. We're through now to the men's quarterfinals, where we're going to see some more terrific racing. The fastest qualifier, Vizintin, goes against Vaultier de Blois and Hill in that opening quarter. Then it's Dierdorf who heads up that next quarter. And as we move down through the list, lots of Americans, lots of Australians still involved here, and looking for those results. So Hill goes yellow, Vaultier goes in green. As they come out of the gate, Vizintin and Vaultier just having a little dust up there, but it's Vaultier that gets the nod and moves through. So good start from Kevin Hill, the Canadian. Vaultier as well, heading it out. So it's Vaultier from Hill at the moment, green and yellow, and then it's Omar Vizintin, the Italian, who was so quick yesterday in qualifying, but again he's playing a risky game here off the pace. Glenn de Blois, for once, the Netherlands racer, doesn't get a good start. Now Vizintin starting to build that speed, and it's Vizintin versus Hill here, and Vizintin will fancy his chances. He goes past Hill, too much pressure for Hill, who comes out on the rollers, and that means Vaultier with a comfortable win. Vizintin has been quite careful with his racing today. He was so quick yesterday, but today he's looked at making those little moves towards the bottom of the course to get himself through the last 32 and now through the quarter-final. So Vizintin just bided his time here and then produced a nice little run coming into the rollers, and that just seemed to catch Kevin Hill's attention, who just couldn't control it. Went way too high into the dip and just caught the upslope of that next roller. Tell you what, Vaultier looked good there, very good. So 2 V's through. And Vaultier. And it's confirmed, Vaultier gets the win. And we say cheerio to Hill and de Blois at the quarter-final stage. Vedder yellow, Dierdorf in red, and Carney in green. 3 Americans involved in this next one, only Alessandro Hamel in the blue from Europe. He'll be feeling very lonely in this one, and well, the recipe for success therefore is surely just forget about the rest, move to the front, and that's what Hamel has done in the blue bib. So Hamel leads from Carney. Carney's still with him though, and still sniffing around, goes through on the inside. Nice move from the American, and just about holds his line, but that's brilliantly ridden from Hamel. Didn't let Carney get the lead. Down goes the yellow of Jake Vedder. So Vedder's out of this one, Dierdorf is out of this one, and providing these two stay upright, which is not guaranteed after the arm waving from Hamel, then they should be through, and it's going to be Carney in the end. A little bit of a messy ride from Hamel on that bottom third of the course, but he's through as well. So Carney and Hamel through to join Vizintin and Vaultier, and as tends to be the case now on the World Cup Snowboard Cross Tour, every single round producing some mouth-watering contests ahead. And that's exactly the case here. Decent run, Vedder never really in it, Dierdorf never really in it either. Got a nice eclectic mix in semi-final one then. Vizintin and Vaultier, joined by Carney and Hamel. And here we go. Qualification then through to the next round complete for the top part of the draw. And that's confirmed. Italy, USA, France, Austria. So it's eclectic mix for semi-final one. representing Carnival Thien Hamel. Into the bottom half of the draw now. Alex Dibold in the red. And we've got Nikolai Olayunin, who looked very good in his heat, in green. Cameron Bolton in blue, and Michele Godino, who got in amongst it for the Italians as well, in yellow. Let's see if he can mix it up this time. Look at that start. Crucial push over that table. And working the legs to try and generate that speed, and this is close. Dibold gets it. Just pops out in the lead ahead of Bolton. Godino in third. This is tight. Olayunin not in it at the moment, but I can't believe that Nikolai's not going to find a move at some point. And still Dibold hangs on. Ahead of the Australian Bolton. And Olayunin dropping further and further off the pace, and Godino at the moment not challenging either, though here he comes. Godino putting a bit of pressure on Bolton. And as we move through to the final part of the course, Dibold looks good, and through comes Godino. Much better view from that side on camera as the race has crossed the line. And Michele Godino delighted with that, teed it up just at the right place again. He did it in his last 32 heat, and he's done it again in this third quarter-final. So he's through, and Dibold didn't look in any sort of trouble at all. That was a very smooth run from the American. Led from the start, held off that little challenge there from Bolton, and held it off nicely. And then it was Bolton versus Godino for second place, and the Italian converted that very nicely through the bottom section, and the rollers just got the board down early and then took the double very nicely. He quite likes that bit of air, doesn't he, before the line. Seems to work for him. A few riders have used that. Lucas Pashna goes in this last quarter-final for the men. Really launched himself. So, confirmation, Alex Dibold and Michele Godino are through for USA and Italy. We say goodbye to Bolton and Olayunin. That was a very quiet race from the Russian. So, quarter-final number 4 for the men. Lambert in that yellow bib. And we've got Leith going green, Pullin red. The World Cup leader. And Pashna in the blue. This could be interesting. We'll start from the big man, Alex Pullin. Just to use his size, he is a unit. He uses it very well indeed. And look at the speed he's generated through the first section of this course. He's absolutely flying. Very different tactic to the other man that went sub 47 seconds in qualification. Yes, no trouble at all, and then the speed that he generated to keep himself clear of the rest, very impressive indeed. Now at this point, Pashna was nowhere in, then got himself back in it and teed it up for the big finish. And remember, in the last 32, it was Pashna that went across the line airborne and just about beat Noel. He's gone airborne here again and just gets the board down. Shoots for the line, so Pashna does beat Lambert, who tried a very similar tactic there. So Pashna will be through. He will join Alex Pullin, who for me had the most impressive qualification there. That looked very good indeed. And that will set up a very nice second semi-final for the men as well. I still think probably the first semi-final has got the edge in terms of possible outcomes. That one's going to be fascinating to watch. But Alex Pullin will be delighted with his form so far here in Cervinia. So Pullin, Dibold, Pashna and Godino in that second men's semi-final. So the racing done and dusted up to the semi-final stage, and we will have the semi-finals for you from Italy coming up after the break. The ladies' semis next up here from Cervinia.